Alright guys, TouchCry back again today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And yesterday, this major patch update we have been talking for a while dropped here into Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So many implications for competitive play we are going to be talking about today. Of course, the pros won't be playing on this patch for a little while now. We imagine the rest of Stage 2 will be played on the current patch. But then for Stage 3, and I'm sure after the major finishes, there's going to be a lot of chaos going on with pros trying to figure out exactly what they should be using in the meta from Stage 3 going forwards. Some other changes as well, especially the snaking one, we're going to go through in the coming minutes here. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Very intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, of course, as well. Let's talk about League play first of all. So they've made a couple of changes here. The Lawbreaker wildcard will now no longer allow another weapon to be put on. So Overkill is effectively banned. And also the Perk Greed wildcard is gone. Now this is pretty interesting. The idea is here effectively is just to copy exactly what the pros do, which is probably a good thing. But yeah, Perk Greed is gone because what the pros do is they just use the Lawbreaker wildcard without the Overkill side of things, and we'll talk about snipers in a few minutes time here, the fact that they haven't been changed, which probably means they won't be coming back into S&D as of late, which is well, honestly pretty unfortunate to see. I'll have to see how things develop over time in that I suppose field of things. But yeah, they use the Lawbreaker not to get the Overkill but just to get the extra perk, so they can use Flak Jacket and Tactical Mask at the same time, and then they don't use Perk Greed because that would be too overpowered from their perspective. So that's effectively what this does right here. They've also added match suspension penalties so that honestly I think this is a great thing. They had it back in Black Ops 2. It was only like 5 minutes back there. I think it's now actually 15 minutes suspension you will get. But yeah, some changes to League play certainly I think steps in the right direction here. And well, League play suspension as you can see on screen. Also this, the Chrome points out, scoreboard glitch finally fixed in League play, so you can actually scroll up and down and see what the other players are doing. Finally, they managed to figure it out. Now also something which is coming to League play and not coming to the CDL as yet, as Chrome says, these changes are not on by default. Matt Sconson mentioned that they will likely test these changes in League play very soon. These are the changes then. This is honestly such a good deal I think for competitive play, especially for how Control is going to look and to feel, and also, you know, from a watcher's perspective as well. So these are the two things that have been changed, or at least these are options that have been added. They're not guaranteed that they're going to be on yet in competitive, but I believe they probably will be, because it seems like a step in the right direction. So time per segment. First of all, we talked about this a couple of days ago. I think it was actually yesterday. We discussed the idea that, okay, look, they're going to add these 20 seconds that you get per tick you have. Therefore, when you get to, like, let's say you hit the harder hill first, you get like 2 ticks on it, you're actually going to have a little bit of extra time to cap the other one and then get back to that hard point or get back to that control point right to the end to close it out. So should be a slight tweak in favour of the offense on maps like Garrison and maps like Checkmate that certainly need it. Raid hopefully won't become too offense favoured as a result, but maybe it won't be the end of the world. And then this really I think is the major one in terms of the overtime rules. So right now I'm sure you guys will notice that on maps like Garrison, maps like Checkmate, if you have a bad offensive push early on, like a lot of teams will just shut down and not even bother trying to win the round on their offense, and they will literally camp in their spawn and play for kills, because the final round the defense is determined by whoever has the most kills, which it basically incentivizes teams to just completely play for kills and not even try and win the round, which is I'm sure you guys have noticed very frustrating to watch. So this option enables the first port of call as to who gets defense is actually going to be in terms of the amount of segments of zones that they have captured. So effectively, if you're sitting in spawn thinking, okay, we'll just get kills and get the defense in the round 11 or in the round 5, you can't do that anymore because well, you're just going to lose if the other team has more objective points captured. So there's a direct incentive to actually try and still win the round to get as many possible ticks as you can on the point so that you can get defense to the preferred side in the round 5. So I think this is a major step in the right direction. I think it's going to make Control a lot more interesting to watch, should have a lot more competitive games. And well, let's also talk then about exactly what the weapon meta might look like. So many changes right here. The Krieg has been buffed, the FFAR's been buffed, the Groza's been buffed, Milano's buffed, KSP buffed, but this is kind of in gentleman's agreement anyway since it got buffed last time. 74U nerf, LC10 nerf as well, and a few other things as well. So let's talk about this right here. So these are the things that have changed. The Krieg 6 has been it's been buffed somewhat. I don't think it's an incredible amount of buffing that has gone to it right here, but you know, tuning pass on a weapon accuracy with an optical attachment, address some instances of the weapon feeling floaty, so you know, whatever that might mean. But supposedly the Krieg 6 is now even better than it was, but only marginally so. Then the FFAR increased increased ballistic speed, and honestly, the bullet velocity, like ballistic speed, is a pretty big deal on a lot of weapons, so this could make it somewhat better, but most people seem to think that it's still not very good. Groza actually is an interesting one, because this weapon may start to see a lot of use in League play now. Maybe the pros won't use it, who really knows, but maximum damage range increased by 40%, that is pretty significant, so it's honestly so tough to tell what's going to go on with the meta right now. And well, attachments, a complete shooting pass on some muzzle and underbarrel attachments, we'll have a look at in just a second here, that affect the recoil on the assault rifles. I'm not sure if that makes it harder or easier to control yet. I haven't really seen any data on it, so we'll have to see how things develop. But yes, this is on the SMG side. The Milano clearly has had quite a significant buff here, and a lot of people think the Milano is going to be in the meta right now. The KSP got buffed as well. The 74U got nerfed somewhat interestingly. A lot of people are saying that actually a lot of these nerfs come down to the attachments. So if you use the Spetsnaz speed grip on the 74U, it just shoots circles, like that's what everyone used to do. But if you use the Spetsnaz grip, just the pure grip, then actually, or the Spetsnaz grip, like the one above the Spetsnaz speed grip, then it actually still shoots kind of like it did. But this reduced muzzle velocity may actually be a big deal. Some people are talking about how the LT10 hasn't really been nerfed too much, so it's honestly so tough to say what's going on right now, what the meta is going to look like. I'm sure you guys are going to be testing it out tonight, and well, let me know exactly what you think. In terms of sniper rifles, though, this is where it's kind of frustrating. There's no changes here. We were kind of hoping that, okay, maybe they add a little bit of flinch, maybe they reduce the aim assist or something, so that at least in competitive play somehow, at least add it as an option maybe in competitive, so that we might be able to see them back in competitive, because a lot of people think right now they're just way too good to be used in Search and Destroy, and that's frustrating because we would love to see them in the game. So the implications of these weapon changes are very hard to see already, but as Method says, quick buff, he as well, Vince McMahon and co are back in town. But as Attach says, RIP AK-74U. So as I say, some people suggesting that the Milano is going to be in the meta, as Center is right here. But on the other side, you're seeing people say, okay, well, if you just get rid of the Spetsnaz speed grip and you just put on the normal grip, then actually the 74U is still very competitive indeed. But the Milano seems to be getting a lot of love in the pro community as of late, and as Saint Nato says as well, RIP 74U, hello, Milano, get it in. Mental, of course, of the Los Angeles Guerrillas Academy says a very similar thing as well. So Milano in the game could be the big question mark right now. And as well, as Easy Max says as well, for some reason the pistols, the 1911 got a buff, and the sniper rifles still haven't got flinch. But on the whole, I think a lot of these changes in this patch update are a step in the right direction. This from Workable Puffin as well here on the Reddit, he mentions a number of these grip changes, exactly what they do technically to yeah, the horizontal and the vertical recoil and this type of stuff. And well, apparently the LT10 might still be very good indeed, which is kind of frustrating to hear. And of course, there's a degree of subjectivity in terms of these impressions. I'll just leave this on screen if you guys want to pause the video and check out everything that is exactly going on. This also, which is very interesting indeed though. So, as they say in the patch notes, movement. Slightly reduce the speed of changing stances from stand, crouch, and prone. Additional adjustments to come between, well, to address remaining disparity between first person and third person perspectives. So this seems very heavily to imply that they're trying to nerf snaking, right? So the idea of snaking is that if you go prone and then you stand up again, like you kind of either crouch and stand up, or you go prone and stand up, exactly what they're talking about, behind a piece of cover, then it's the first person and third person perspectives, this disparity, it's a nice way to phrase it, that well, that is really the issue, right? Because from your perspective, you're just crouching up and down, you can completely see the other side of that piece of cover, but the guy looking at you doesn't see your character model in exactly the same way. And of course, that's pretty frustrating. That's why snaking is a major deal in the game, and why JCap was saying, like, screw you to anyone who does it. And well, I suppose some of the pros threatening to break gentlemen's agreements and go rogue a little bit if it does continue. Now, these last couple of weeks, we haven't seen it being used as much. I mean, Celium and Diamondcon were, you know, two of the key offenders, I suppose, I think the pros would say, but they haven't really been doing it as of late, which I think is good to at least watch from a competitive standpoint, and it seems to have, the message seems to have got through to some degree, but regardless, it seems like trying to take a stand here. Now, as I say, I'm not sure how much impact this actually has. Can you still snake? Is it quite the same? And these additional adjustments is kind of the interesting part to me. It's like, okay, well, even if you slightly reduce this speed of how quickly you can go between the stances, which may make some difference to snaking, but may not nerf it completely, if you can actually make the character models align from a first person and a third person perspective, then maybe snaking isn't so bad, because you can actually just shoot the guy when his head's popping up, rather than not even being able to see him when that happens, because the character models are a little bit messed up. So interesting to see they actually go down this route. I mean, I guess this is a step in the right direction, but yeah, I guess they're trying to do everything they can to nerf Atlanta FaZe. Atlanta FaZe 11-0 in the league. I saw some crazy stat on Reddit actually that they're 32 in 9, I thought, or 35 in 9 or something like that in their map count, and they actually have 11 series wins. So they average less than 1 map loss per series win. So their average series win is like 3 to 0.7 maps or something crazy like that. Maybe it'll continue going forwards, maybe it won't, who really knows. But yeah, as Kevy Skill says as well, Snaking has officially been nerfed. It finally happened. So yeah, frustrating, I'm sure, if you guys have run into people who just snake up and down head glitches a lot in League play. Yeah, maybe this will be slightly less of a big deal right now. Also, I wanted to talk about these map changes. So we talked about control earlier, but a number of these things have actually got significantly better as well. I mean, there's honestly so much to discuss here. So on Apocalypse, we did look at a couple of days ago this issue where you could capture P3 from outside of the intended boundary. That has now thankfully been fixed. On Raid as well, adjusted the distance of spawns from P1 to each side of the map to reduce chances of spawning beside or behind enemy teams. So trying to improve the spawns in Hardpoint. They also do a very similar thing on Garrison, you can see right here. So removed spawns that were too close to P2 and P5 on Garrison. Hardpoint added a larger spread for spawns on P1, P2, P3 to reduce chances of spawning behind the enemy team. So seems like a step in the right direction. Now the control changes are also very interesting indeed. So conditional attacker spawns added to reduce travel time to Zone A. This is a great deal, I think, because so many times I think you guys will find on Garrison that when you're playing League play or something, if you get like a 4 dead on your team, you spawn so far out, like it takes so many gunfight wins to actually get anywhere close to getting over towards that A point especially. But also this, well, Garrison, this first one, extended Zone A up to the platform outside of the green room. So, okay, there's the green room right there, then you've got the little platform area with the stairs on it, then it goes down into the actual zone itself. So if you want to get into the zone and contest, you have to fly out of green, over that kind of a little barrier thing, over the little fence, and then down into the zone. Whatever that like green looking construction thing is over there that you can head glitch. But now, all you have to do is get onto the platform and you're contesting the zone. And that is honestly, I think, well, it's going to make it a lot easier to capture that zone, because not only can you contest a lot easier, you get out of green into that little corner on the left, and now you're contesting the zone. But also, let's say you have one guy down actually where the satellite is in that like green looking construction thing, and then well, he's sitting there watching, let's say, bricks from inside, and you're sitting on top of the platform looking on the outside, and you're actually capping the zone at that point. And honestly, you could cap that zone pretty quickly indeed if you can set up on that platform so easily and don't have to worry about flying out into the hill to actually, well, get picked off by someone on the outskirts there. So honestly, really interesting changes, probably a step in the right direction, should make offense, all these things we talked about today, and well, a lot easier in terms of control at least. And it is just so great to have developers that are actually receptive to feedback. Maybe it's taken them a little bit longer than we would have liked to implement some of these things into the game. They're going to be coming in, we imagine, for Stage 3 into the meta. But yeah, really, honestly, steps in the right direction, I think. There's some things that maybe we would still like to see tweaked and still like to be changed, but on the whole, I think this is probably a great deal. And also, I wanted to mention Miami Strike real quick. So you guys may have played on this already if you guys have jumped on the game, but Miami Strike in Search and Destroy is clearly pretty questionable. Afro's playing it right here. They're playing a 2 versus 2 or whatever, setting up his classes. He spawns in right behind the enemy team, like both, well, him and his mate, and also the 2v2 opponents they're playing spawn in on exactly the same side of the map. So not really sure how this is even possible or what's even going on here, but they've changed this map a lot, right? They've actually done a pretty significant rework of this part of Miami which is being played on. Now, is this going to be too small to to play in competitive? Maybe that will be the case, and it is just too small. I mean, this is kind of a walk around that Gfinity does right here, and the garage is kind of similar, but the element just to the left of the garage, like basically the core center of the map is just that street, but they've changed it a lot. They've added up some scaffolding over there. If this guy looks to the left, you'll see it in a second here. Most of this map is relatively similar, but they've done some quite significant rework as to how it looks, and they've also added an entirely new lane around the outside of garage. Also this hop-up bit right here with the ladder that you can see right now, so you can get up into top purple right there. So a number of changes to Miami Strike, or at least to Miami for this Miami Strike version. And look, I think it's a step in the right direction. There's this kind of bridge-looking thing going on over here. It's an interesting situation right now. I think this map may be too small to play for competitive. At the end of the day, Crossroads Strike got removed effectively because it was too chaotic and the spawns didn't work because it was too small. Maybe this map would be okay, and maybe, to be honest, if they reflected these changes in the normal Miami, and that's still what we play for Search and Destroy, that might be a step in the right direction as well. So cool to see them reworking maps, something that other esports and other games do, and it doesn't usually happen in Call of Duty too often, but this seems to be a step in the right direction from my perspective. But so many changes today. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on these all in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thanks for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.